The Pledge of Allegiance, led by Trustee Brooks. The flag is back here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Brooks. All right, first item on the agenda is good news. Mr. Hilderly?
Yes, it was discussed at the end of the last meeting, but we felt that we wanted to make sure that it was noted on an agenda. So we are bringing it up again. That we had two members who have received awards. And these are not things that you win in a raffle or that you are voted on. You have to do the work, put in the time, and earn the credit. So we very much appreciate these awards from the MASB organization. Mrs. Brooks achieving the Award of Merit. Mrs. Davis, Certified Board Member Award and Award of Merit. So congratulations to you two. And
Thank you. I think you're already a certified board member, right, Mrs. Brooks? Yeah. So, yeah, awesome. Thanks for the hard work.
it's definitely worth mentioning. Thanks
For sure. It's not easy. There's a lot of time behind the computer screen. All right, that covers it.
What is that?
All right. Next on the agenda is public comment on agenda items only. I don't know if anybody here, public, has comment on the agenda items. Huh?
Oh, well,
Here's the agenda. It was posted. Oh,
got one.
yeah, it's there. And you can comment later as well. What is your comment on? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I can tell you if it's on the agenda or not, but, all right. Are you good? Can we continue? All right, thank you. All right, onto the board agenda. Revisions, approval, on the agenda. I do not know of any. Does anyone have any? Revisions?
I move to accept them then.
Support.
It's been moved to second to support the agenda as published. Roll call vote. Trustee Brooks.
Aye.
Trustee Davis.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Moore.
Aye.
Trustee Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Tomlin.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Agenda is approved. Scheduled reports. First is curriculum. Mr. Lewis.
Okay, the curriculum committee is all in a row here. Mary and Becky and myself, and of course Megan is the curriculum coordinator right now, and she's behind us, which is kind of odd because I don't know if she's giving me daggers in the back here or not. But I would say that the curriculum process has gone very well. I mean, it's pretty much the way I think all of us on the board want it to go. It's been teacher led. It's been headed up by Megan. When it got mired down a bit, she made sure that it got pushed along, and they're moving it hit the pace they wanted. In fact, Megan actually asked at the last meeting to move the scheduled curriculum committee meeting up a week. So instead of being the 27th this month, it'll be the 20th, so that department heads can come in on that curriculum meeting and make recommendations to us as a curriculum committee, and then we can discuss them as a board on the meeting on the 25th. Pretty much the elementary school, K-4 grades, they want to stick with Curriculum Associates. That's the company that they are using for their math curriculum. Curriculum Associates is rated very high. If you go to edreports.org, that's what it is, right? Yeah, it's not really EDU reports. I can't remember the name of the website. I think it's edreports.org. And Curriculum Associates gets ranked really high in just about every category. So I think that's a solid choice. You in your notes, you had a place where it said it talked about the magnetic reading program and the website. I thought I was going to click on that and look at it or look it up and look at it. It's like I don't really know why I would, because I don't know anything about fifth grade reading anyway. I decided just go with what the recommendation is of that panel. They've logged all the hours. I mean, part of me wants to look at it and see what it's like, and then part of me says I'll have more stupid questions to ask about it that it would just waste everybody's time anyway, because I don't know fifth grade reading curriculum. And in the middle school, they want to loop in or connect to that, the curriculum meeting, the magnetic readings, K5. the middle school, and I think we're down 5-8 middle school again. So fifth grade's already there. Grades 6, 7, and 8 also want to go ahead and use that same selection. And then, I'm sorry, the fifth grade's using that magnetic reading. 6 through 8, they're going to use something just a little bit different. But again, it's more of a canned curriculum so that everybody has the same sheet of music to sing off from, which I think, in my opinion anyway, for K through 8 grades, I think that's important because all those fundamental markers get hit. The 6th through 12th grade curriculum, they do want to use something called Literacy 3000, which will give them, I guess, for lack of a better, it has a post-test or pre-test and post-test, a way that we can collect data and measure growth and improvement with the students. They still wanted to put together their own curriculum, and they're going to do that, I believe, this month. Am I right, Megan? Isn't it this month they're going to?
They're almost done.
Good. So they're moving ahead of schedule on that, and they just have to, when they build their own curriculum, they're looking at certain standards. And I'm guessing, and I'm hoping that some of it's based along that Literacy 3000 data, so that they've got our testing, so that they can provide data back to us. And then there's also a writing supplement for the grades 5 through 8, and we talked about the curriculum scope and sequence, and really what that means for us is, as a board, is to make sure that kindergarten to first grade, the torch is being passed off, so that there's that, where they leave off in kindergarten, you kind of review that in first grade and then build on it. And at least that's what it was when I taught science. We started out pretty much with a review of what the kids learned the previous year for about a week, just to get their brains kick-started again, and you move forward. And I'm interested, I'm really looking forward to hearing what the department heads say to us and have that interactive conversation with our committee as well. I'd like to see what some of their thought processes are, but as far as the overall process of how they did this and how they put it together, I'm pretty pleased with how it went. I think it went exactly with how I know we've talked about for the last year, and me even going back to 2019, how we wanted to see this thing develop. And I definitely think it's teacher led. So the people who are in front of the kids are having most of the input. And for us, it's just that if we have any particular questions, we'll ask those. Anything that you two ladies got out of that?
I just wanted to say that I was really excited to see that they all had assessment pieces built in. And I really liked that, getting middle school students to like writing and have a good firm foundation going in high school will be really great. And I know that teachers work on that. I liked it that they were going to have a 5 through 8 writing resource. I thought that. I can't wait to hear more about how that's going to work. I think that sounds really exciting.
Becky, anything?
I would echo exactly what Mary said.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
So I have a question about the middle school.
Mhm.
So there's 3 items listed there. Those all work in conjunction with each other, or are those individual options?
3 items here.
So there's a study sync, the Achieve Literacy 3000,
Okay,
and
gotcha.
EB Writing. So there are 3 options. I mean, there's three programs we're using.
Was Achieve Literacy like a gap, kind of like the Alex kind of
Yes.
component it is for math? That's the way I remember it to be when you described it, right? So
Yeah.
you could kind of see where they were at and how you were going to fill in that gap, which sounded really good to me.
Yes, yep.
So that's more of a tool for teachers, the Achieve.
No,
Which
it's
one is the tool?
both. It's for the students. So the term we always used to use was differentiated instruction, but really if you're going to have, for the teacher, it allows the mass customized learning that I think was intended 3 or 4 years ago, because now you have kids, you can group kids by their ability, so the teacher doesn't have to go around to every individual student. There's a cluster of 5 or 6 over here that they're working on the same skill set, and a cluster of maybe 6 or 8 over here where you can go and work with them. And I would assume in some cases, not all of them, depends on the teacher, depends on what they're teaching at the time, but there can be students working with other students on those same common flaws that they
So
have
that's
or
the
weaknesses.
Achieve Literacy. Is the actual curriculum the study sync?
Yep, the curriculum, the study sync is the core curriculum. through McGraw-Hill, and Achieve Literacy is also through McGraw-Hill. But it's a gap filler. We found that we have a lot of gaps right now due to COVID. It's also that assessment piece that Greg's talking about. And then the writing piece, it's very informational text writing, the core curriculum, and they wanted to supplement with some narrative pieces. That was a need that they identified in the beginning, so that kind of fills that gap in there as well.
Okay, so they all work
And
together.
The department heads who've been working on this will be giving a detailed presentation to this committee and then following that up with another presentation to the full board. So don't
Okay.
feel like you have to onboard all the details from that. That's more or less a summary.
But there's basically 3 pieces of software that they're gonna be requested we purchase. Okay, that's fine.
Correct.
Thank you.
And then they had the high school. Did you do that?
I did.
Okay.
Just talk briefly
I
about the high
missed it.
school.
Yeah,
Sorry.
He summarized.
Yeah, that was.
so the high school's the same as the middle school? I mean,
No,
different?
well,
It'd be a
they
higher
have the
level.
same, testing standards so that they can have like a pre-test, post-test and measure growth and provide data back to the teachers so they can, assess where they're at. But a lot of it is, they're going to build their own curriculum,
Oh, that's the,
Right.
9 through 12, we're gonna build our own?
yes. And they're going to do that, initially they'd proposed they would do it in August, and that didn't thrill us any that they would wait that long because it's tough. Well, I guess from their standpoint, they would take what the middle school says they're going to do. So the incoming freshmen would know, the people who are getting the 8th graders that teach freshman class would know what those kids had, but we felt it had to be put together a little earlier. So
Why do they wanna build their own versus buying something?
I think that'd be better explained by Rick or Megan, but a lot of it is different. There's different standards at the different grades. So some 9th grade may stress more writing, 10th grade may be grammar or composition, whatever it may be. So I'm not 100% sure why they do that.
I remember you said, and maybe I'm wrong, but they had been comparing other schools in our district and out of our district to kind of see their scope and sequence of what they were doing in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, so that we could look at some of those schools that had really good rates and good data and try to mirror some of that when they were planning out their scope and sequence of what they're going to teach. And then having that Achieve Literacy part will also really help with gaps of kids who just didn't have it in middle school. They won't have to wait 4 years. They'll be able to they'll be able to fill that gap, right?
And then even moving forward, the gaps that, like I may slack off and Tim may move ahead because of whatever reasons whatever things I have going on, that we'll keep that in place and we'll see who's behind, kind of like the Alex math thing.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, lots of data in use.
I like data.
Yeah.
And I think what a lot of these different software programs allow people to do is teachers to do it and the students is, that when I was teaching it, the thing was all kids can learn. We all know that, but they all learn differently and they all learn at different rates. So as long as each one of us at this table was getting the information we had and we all showed improvement, yeah, somebody's going to be number 1 and I'd be number 9 or 10, however many are here in English. But, as long as I got to be a better number 10, that's what's important. So you show growth and improvement, you get better every year. And that's what most of this stuff is aimed at doing. If you've never met Parker Gadbois, he's the department head. He's pretty impressive just to chat with. So I've got a lot of confidence in him too, from just a single meeting.
He's here at the high school?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I sat by him and talked to him a lot at the strategic planning committee. I was like, wow, he's pretty sharp.
And well liked by students. That's not a combo you often get.
Right.
If I could maybe just make one comment. So I think we need to remember that most of the students in the high school concerns that we had for the students that are in the high school today when they were in middle school or the STEAM centers was that curriculum was developed by the teachers. It did not have a lot of structure. And so my only request, I'm not against teachers developing curriculum. I think teachers keep on top of things and know best. But my request to the curriculum committee is that we're watching to make sure that there's structure and checks and gates and those types of things. I think Literacy 3000 helps do that. But, you know, that was a major concern of parents. We have a group of children, a group of students that already kind of went through that and some of the difficulties with that. And so how are we going to make sure that we don't make those same issues? We don't have those same issues. So there's a reflection document, or a group could get together and do a reflection and make sure that as the high school develops their curriculum, they're not kind of making those maybe same gaps occur. I think that's helpful for
That
us.
discussion came up in curriculum
Yes.
committee, trust me.
And that's how, that was interesting about connecting with the other schools and looking at scope and sequence and trying to, you know, see what they're utilizing and what strategy, not just.
And
I
this
mean, I
is-
know all of us sitting at this table,
Care very
we're
much
at
about
this
that.
table because we were very actively involved in the district and aware of things. So I trust that, but I trust you guys are going to keep doing it, but I felt like it needed to be said for those
That's
parents
fine.
that might be watching.
And remember, the data we get, it's it's 2 to 3 years of data that you have to look at before you can make any conclusions, really.
Right.
The first year a teacher teaches a new curriculum, they're learning it too. And I mean, you can preview it and prep for it, but until you actually present it to students and see what the feedback is from them, you'll tweak it a lot that first year. And then, so you have the first year as a baseline, and the second year, and then the third year, and you start to see trends develop. And especially with the help of the software, we should be able to identify areas that are that need some strengthening up. We'll see some things we do really well too.
I think the other thing too is parents want to be engaged in knowing what the curriculum is. So when we write our own curriculum, it's a little bit harder to provide the resources to parents to understand the curriculum. So that's probably another product that needs to be provided if we're developing our own curriculums. So.
Thank you. All right, any other questions for the committee? All right, we'll move on. Next on the agenda is a solar update. I see Mr. Smith is in the audience, so we'll let Mike come up.
Thanks, Tony. Good evening to everybody. I just wanted to update on the solar energy project. I know we did that several months ago, and I've kind of went around the world once and come back around again on it. When we started out, it was for primarily the high school and the middle school. And when we did that, we came up with some pretty good numbers. But what happened, it was about $35,000 a month we could save back to the school then. But part of that was here at the high school, they wanted ground mounts and roof mounts. And when we talked to people and stuff and looked at the layout here, the ground mounts just wouldn't have worked. There was not enough room to really do it. It would have prevented you from expanding any of the sports areas if you needed to, or any of that. So we ruled that out. Well, when we did that, that significantly reduced what the money back we would get. So, and that's where we left it at the last board meeting. And from there, I went and looked at the whole TPS envelope. I found out that at the time that Sutton could not be included in it because they would not allow us to participate in that at that point. That's what I was told. So we went to Herrick and did Patterson, Tecumseh Acres. We looked at the bus garage and the maintenance facility as well. Even looked at the old Board of Education annex part of that building to utilize. And we came back with some pretty good numbers, probably about in the ballpark of 35,000 a month by doing all those. And the big benefit with the smaller schools is since they didn't use as much energy, the price of their electric was 14 cents a kilowatt hour instead of 10 cents, which we have at the high school, middle school, and Sutton, now I find out. So instead of getting a half a cent per kilowatt hour, you were getting 4.5 cents. So that's what brought all that up. So we were ready. I was ready to say, oh, okay, great. You know, we're where we want to be. And then the next thing came up was the bond issue. And when I got into that and understood that more clearly, that the plan with that was to eliminate three of the schools, Patterson, Herrick Park, and tear down Tecumseh Acres and rebuild it. Well, in this program, when you commit to it, you have to commit for 25 years. When you sign a PPA, that's a power purchase agreement, it's for that length. So at that point, the best thing was for us just to eliminate that for now, because we don't know how everything's going to go in the next 3 to 5 years, let's say. So we eliminated them out. That brought it back down to somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 a month that we would save. So that was fine. We went through that. Then we went back to the high school again to take a second look and see what we could do. And the big thing here I was pushing for is we needed roof restorations. The school here, I mean, this roof is 22 years old now. Normal life is probably 25, 30. The roofs are in pretty good shape overall here. To do the east side of the high school, that roof, the restoration was $700,000 to $800,000. To do the other side, it increased. The other side was 1.1 million to 1.25 million to do that side, but there was nothing on that. And then the third thing I was looking at is the pool, because I know we have that in the bond, and doing some upgrades on that. And that roof came in at like $260,000 to $270,000 to do a restoration. And from what I found out, that pool was built in 1988, according to the drawings and stuff. So that roof's got to be definitely ready for a new roof in it. Well, we look back at all the numbers again, and they tried to massage that, and it just wouldn't work. Okay, they couldn't get what the numbers they needed. They couldn't get the numbers I needed. So we kind of tabled that. So finally, my last option that I was looking at is, okay, let's look at it as a capital project. Okay, so I got pricing on that. It's about $1.5 to $1.6 million to put two 400 kilowatt array systems on one on here, the school here, and one at the middle school. And when we started running the numbers, you look at, we're getting back about $100,000 a month in the first year, because now we own the electricity. You know, so this was an outside contractor, come in, install it, maintain it, service it, do the whole thing for us. And we would get back our whatever solar energy we would get at the total amount. And it isn't that we're going to get back the 2.5 million kilowatts hours here or the 1.5 million kilowatt hours, because that's your total load a year. And when you do these solar array systems, a 400 kilowatt system that produces like 560,000 kilowatts a year. So you take and you add all up. What I did is took the whole total amount for the two schools, multiplied it out by the 10 cents, and got that number. And at this school, you multiply it by about 19%, and that's what you get. That's the actual amount of electricity you're producing. And for that, you'll get 10 cents.
19% of what we use will produce.
Yes, for this size school.
This school.
Yep. And to put a bigger system on here to maximize that, it would have to be 2 to 3 to 4 times the size of what we're talking about. And you have no way, if we have 40 acres over here, we might be able to do it. But and at the middle school, the same thing applies, but theirs is 34%. So what I came up as the final numbers is that basically if we spend $1.5, $1.6 million of capital costs through a sinking fund or whatever we have. We'll get back about, starting at 100,000, I think it was 107,000 was the first year we would get back
107,000 for the whole year?
for the year of the electric, because we're producing that electric.
I get it.
Okay.
Right. They're giving us a credit.
Yeah, and I can give you firm numbers. And then I took a factor. Right now, increases are between 3.5 and 4.5 annually. And I took 4. And if you look at that, if we put the 400 on here, 400 at the middle school, and that's all paid off. They install it, they take care of it and everything. We come back and it'd be about a 13.2 year payback.
That's taking into account the increases we're going to see in electricity.
Yeah, that's
over
the
those times.
3.5 to 4.5.
Mhm.
But at the same time, the price structure you're on here may not increase like that
Right,
because
so it's
it's
Kind of
different.
get educated. guess.
Yeah, it's different. And I still haven't totally figured it out.
Do we have contracts with the power companies? Have you
I
been?
do now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now we have-
I'll dig into it, but it's based on load, which makes sense. The more you produce, the cheaper it is.
Mhm.
You know, the
The more we
smaller
use, the cheaper it is.
used, yeah,
Yes.
okay. And the smaller schools don't, so they're higher. It makes sense, you know. But it was the 4.0 is what I used, and it was a 13.2 year payback to do that. So it's I think a pretty good return.
So
What's the lifespan on the units?
30 years.
We would have a contract with someone to do all the repairs and everything.
Yep, they
And
come
we
in
don't
and
pay yearly for that?
yeah,
We do.
that'd be part of the contract.
Part of the 1.1 million.
Yep.
And then we give them X amount per year for upkeep.
No, it would be, well, no, it would be included in this contract.
Well, in the purchase agreement, all the maintenance would be included.
Right. So they, as part of the purchase agreement, they monitor our system daily. They can monitor it. And then they
And
would
if
give
something
us,
goes wrong, they replace it.
yes. Yep, they
And life
monitor.
expectancy on those is about 30 years, you say?
30 years is what the life expectancy of it.
How hard are they to dispose of?
They aren't. They're not hazardous
Go to a
waste.
regular trash.
Yep. I've not been told anything about their hazardous waste or anything else. Now, the degradation in them runs about 0.5 of 1%, half of 1% per year
So they don't work as effectively as they get older.
as they get older. But that depends too on who's making the solar panels. If you buy cheap ones, you're probably going to get worse. If you buy good ones, that's what you can expect. And I looked at that on the internet too, and I got the same information on that. So what you want to monitor is that degradation. And then once it gets to such a, maybe 6-7%, then you may have to come in and start replacing panels and stuff. You'll
But
take a
about our
look at it.
payback time.
What's that?
By the time we get to payback, we might
Yeah.
start needing to.
Yeah.
Does this include the roof refurbishment?
No. No.
Is roof refurbishment needed with
It-
this?
My personal opinion, you're 22 years old here, your roofs, I've not had any issues, and I can ask Tom. I mean, these roofs have been relatively very good. I think the risk of dealing with that and going forward is good to just keep doing your annual maintenance.
So, but if you put panels over the roof,
Yep,
is it possible to do roof maintenance underneath them?
yep.
Oh,
Absolutely. Actually, they're light enough that the problem is going to be finding space. If you got to do a section, finding the space that you can move these things.
oh,
Okay. But they're light enough that, a group of maintenance guys could just pick them up and move them and stuff.
So why then were we looking at roof refurbishment under the
to
Because
benefit
it's close
us.
to,
But if we took that out, what does option number 3 look like?
there is no refurbishing in there.
There is none.
there's option-
I know,
Yeah.
but they were saying,
I was trying to get them to throw that in as a caveat
so
into
we
the
would be.
program. They didn't buy it. It's not they didn't buy it. It just didn't fit the numbers and stuff, you know?
So what is the savings when you eliminate the elementary schools and the board annex? What was that savings again per month?
When I eliminate it,
Yeah, is that the five?
what I just told you is the savings for the high school and middle school.
5 to 10K a month, you said.
I'm saying under
Oh,
the,
you're,
I'm
yeah,
asking
it was
under the-
probably just, if we'd have eliminated all the elementary schools,
And not try to
it
do
would
the
have been
road.
down below 10,000 a month.
A month or a
Probably
year?
7,000 a month.
A month.
so we have 2 options to consider then, right? So the first option is no capital project from the district's perspective,
Mhm.
but only $5,000 to $10,000 of savings a month,
Yeah,
to a capital project with an outlay of up to, if we think about it, probably 2 million, because there will be unforeseen costs. That gives us $100,000 a month savings and
Well-
around a 13-year payback.
yeah.
Okay.
Is it 100,000 a month or
Yeah,
100,000 a year?
You said 100,000 a year.
$100,000 a year.
A year. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, do we have to have a power purchase agreement on our own?
There'll be
as
some kind of
district?
agreement. I don't know if it's a power purchase agreement since if you're doing the capital, or it's just a regular contract.
Well, a power purchase agreement is they buy the power we generate, and
Yeah,
so
but
there's
they're,
none of that
no,
with the power company.
right.
So
They're,
we'll have batteries.
no. No, you're
just-
producing this electricity, okay? So basically, you're just taking their profit out of it, of what they would make. So you were paying them the 9.5 cents and getting a half a cent back.
So we'll utilize all the power that's generated through the solar panels.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That's what he said.
Yes.
We use about 19% here and 34% at the middle. school.
Yeah, of the total
We just put it back
capacity.
on
So
the
you're
line. We're
never,
just putting it back
never
on the
gonna
line.
Putting
exceed
it on the
that.
grid.
I understand. Okay. Gotcha.
So-
So it'll feed directly in.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So my suggestion, if we can, is a capital project. It's kind of a no-brainer in my eyes, but yeah, that's what you guys can hash around and see what you think, and any information I can get you, feel free to let me know. I've got tons of it. It's not all up here, but
Mike, some of the stuff that they were talking about in the presentation was that they get credits and, this sort of thing, which is why they're involved in the first place. Is there anything along those lines that you're aware of that we can capture?
I think the credits that you're talking about is net metering. Okay, and that is only when you produce more than what is supplied by the company.
But there was tax credits. The GE
Oh, yeah.
Capital would
No,
get.
the tax credits are gone for us.
Yeah, we don't pay any taxes.
Yeah, we won't get that 26%.
Oh.
Yeah, that would be too good to be true.
I wonder if there's grant programs though.
So,
I don't know.
So Onstead and another district just did something like this, so maybe we could check with them too.
Have you talked to the Onstead people?
not yet.
I think it was.
And how about
Onstead.
Belding? Is it Belding?
I have been talking to Belding for months and stuff, but they're on the other program, the PPA program. This would not be the PPA program that I would recommend.
So this is, when we talked in the facilities committee, Mike, we talked about the initial idea of having a company install for free, and we have the PPA and all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff.
Mhm.
One of the concerns was, when is the investment paid back to them so we can cut off the contract?
Right.
Did
Not
we find out if
we
that's-
can't cut a PPA contract.
No,
It's up
but-
to them.
Right,
to come
but
back
they
and
could
say-
come back at 12 years or whatever. Did they give any indication of, because there was some misunderstanding, I think, from the gentleman's presentation that we all heard like 10 to 12 years. they just say keep the panels where out.
Yeah, it can happen that way, but it'll depend on the economy. You know, if electricity goes crazy and they make a ton of money, they're gonna say, I'm through with this, I'll take my money and go.
Yeah.
Then they could come back. But if it's not and it's slow, then they're gonna want to recoup whatever they've invested and what they were projected to earn before they do it. So it's more of a crapshoot, to be honest with you.
So during the discussion with the board, one of the questions was, what if a new technology comes and solar isn't the best anymore? Is
That's
there
pretty-
more risk, in your opinion, under the capital project concept?
No, because if something new, great thing comes in, you're gonna do the same thing we're doing now, do a cost justification with what they bring in to see, is it a hell of a lot better than what we've got sitting here? Are we gonna double our money or make 50% more? And you'll base on, okay, let's get rid of the solar, put this in, and we're making twice as much as
Yeah, but
we
you have
were
to
with
break
the
the
solar.
contract to do that. and There's a cost to that.
Well, if we do our own capital
This is-
ourselves,
we
there's no
have to break
No,
contract.
no, I know.
Right.
That's not what she's asking.
I was just,
Yeah, no, I know.
all I'm trying to do is remember the
Yeah.
items from our past discussion and make sure that all the information
Yeah,
is
on a
presented to the board.
PPA, you wouldn't have that opportunity, okay?
You wouldn't have
They may
opportunity to
come back to you, they may come back to us as a school system and say, here's some new great technology, let's do a new PPA where they make the money.
Right, so basically, if we went with their contract and money, no money out of our pocket, and a new technology came along, they could say, sorry, you're in the contract for 25 years.
Yeah. Or they could say, hey, we're gonna do this, do you want to extend your contract? I don't know, that's all legal stuff. But yeah, anything that would come out with new technology, you would basically justify replacing what we have now.
Right, and then if we do it ourselves, we've spent over $1 million, and then
Hmm.
sometime in the next 13 years, that roof's gonna need to be replaced, so that can be. a
Right.
problem. And you did say we pay for replacement, like if we have them do it and we're saving 100,000 a year, do they, if something goes wrong, they replace it for free?
No, if you
So-
build that into the PPA agreement as part of the agreement.
The average life of those is 30 years, but they don't work as well.
It could be 40 years. It depends on
Does it
how
go
you
from
take care of
100%
them.
Down to 20%, or how big of a drop is it?
For
The
what?
rate of it not working as well. Year one, it works great.
Well, okay, if you go 0.5% in 10 years, what, you're at 7,
Oh,
5%.
5%?
5%?
all?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Because they don't hardly
there's really
see
not,
that.
it's not gonna be a huge impact, to be honest with you.
But it's not like you can go down 20 or 25.
Right.
No,
I mean,
no,
there's
that's what I
there's
was
a point.
hoping, that it
Yeah.
didn't get that bad to the point where it needed to be replaced, and then it's back up to 100%.
Yeah.
So- So
you-
Mike, this is kind of a new proposal
Mhm.
that we
It is.
didn't hear in the facilities committee.
Yep,
My personal opinion is I'd like to suggest that you bring this proposal back to the facilities committee with some more details about the contracts and
Yeah.
how we handle those things. And then let us review it and maybe then talk to now that there's a capital program involved, taking it to the budget committee. I'd like to go through the committee structure again, if that's amenable to the rest of the board.
I agree.
Because this is a new proposal the committees haven't heard yet.
right.
It's not a bad, I'm not saying it's a bad proposal. I'm just saying, I think it's best probably to take that through the committees. Again, if you're okay with that. I know you want to do construction in the summer. so
No,
is that a
I'm
timing
not
problem?
hung up about that, because that's another thing. Apparently, the ability to get materials and labor has significantly improved since we started this. From
Really?
what I'm picking up from them.
Tim, what are your thoughts? Do you have comments on this?
I do. I think this would be a perfect opportunity for a public-private partnership, where the private develops an LLC, they'll get the tax credits. They can kind of build a school for consulting fees. When it's all said and done, they're going to get these huge tax credits and depreciation expenses, and then hand it off to the schools.
No
So,
contract.
with no contract. So I think this is something that should be explored, that could really cost the school half of what maybe you're saying with the tax credits that people.
Because
Yeah.
Where would that be? Where would a company would
Where would that come from?
I think you'd find some local investors that would start an LLC, and you would have to meet with them. But again, I think this is a perfect fit for private public.
So they would allow some entity to take advantage of the credits.
High income earners that need these tax credits and can fully depreciate those panels. And at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, say, here you go, Tecumseh, we're done. I got my tax credits.
Then you'd realize all the savings.
So I think it's a perfect
I agree.
fit for private public thing. So, and I think that's the road we should go down because
It's
we're going to
really,
cut our cost in half.
it's really taking that initial large scale corporate model and making it more local to where there's
Yes.
more benefit to
Yes.
both set of partners.
Still,
If I'm
Yep.
thinking the same way.
Yep.
I knew you'd have something
Yeah.
creative. You always.
Yeah, that's my thought. But hey, what do I know?
Can you
So,
put that together, Mike? No.
I'm sure.
While you're selling the bond, get to work on that, will you?
Fill that out there too.
Yep.
I would guess there are huge legal, we'd have to get some lawyers involved to understand that part.
I think first you would just get some people together, meet with Mike and see, Mike could lay out everything and then you'd want to get a CPA involved to let you know the legal ramification, tax implications, but,
Do you have any experience with that?
It still might be free to us if they're getting a lot of money.
well,
in.
it wouldn't be free. I mean,
They're gonna
money out
take,
has
they're
gotta
gonna
be-
take,
Well, they got to get their money back and some.
Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna take less of, the PPA is 9.5 cents per kilowatt, right? They would take something.
I would figure they wouldn't take anything because they're going to get such a big tax credit and write off at the end. So what they're going to essentially do is you're going to pay $500,000 for the solar panels because they're getting such a huge credit.
They're gonna pay what is basically the value of the credits.
Right.
And then we pay the remainder. So it takes that capital investment.
Then they make more money over time with their depreciation and stuff.
Right.
Make it, but they save it.
Anyway,
But you're not looking for them to get money from the savings on electricity.
No.
We would get all that, right? You're just,
I don't
you're
know.
talking the
That's-
capital
that's-
investment.
We'd have to
I don't know.
negotiate
I
that.
don't know.
All right.
I say what Mike said.
Because I mean, the life of what I have right now is like 5.5 million over 30 years. And we would spend somewhere around a little over 3 million.
And are you still talking to the one company or have you talked to other companies?
I've been talking to both Influent Energy and I just got going with Harvest Solar.
Okay.
So I've asked them to put two of the same bids together just to see exactly how they're bidding it, make sure there isn't any differences. If there is, then that's another discussion point. But at this point, it looks like, to me, it's either like a capital. If you could get a private investor who want to do that, get the tax credits and, I agree, that'd be nice.
Yeah, they're there. The credits are there.
Yeah.
Save us money if they can take advantage of it, right?
But my suggestion is don't skip on the quality of
Right.
what you're going to do, or you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
You know that.
So Mike, is this able to be, in your opinion, installed during a school year?
Yeah, I think so, because most of the work's on the roof and stuff. I don't think it's going to interfere too much. And I've already had conversations and they do it year round.
Are the panels that you've looked at so far the stationary ones or do they move?
They're stationary.
Stationary.
Yeah. There's a website you can get on and determine what size it should be and site specific for this area. And it tells you what angle and it tells you everything that you need to know, how much they're going to put out and different stuff.
All right, well,
So I think, Mike, maybe you and Kelly and Rick get back together to talk about this potential additional proposal number 4 or 5, 6.
Poor Mike.
And
All right.
decide kind of what a schedule is for that. And then it just might, Tony, you speak for the board. I'm just speaking myself. I think it's important to take those all back through that committee structure. Because I think, and somehow we have to make sure information gets to Mary in a similar fashion, but pretty much 6 out of 7 of the board are on those committees that it was.
Suzanne, are you on the other committee?
She's on. this.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So we'd have to make sure there was an opportunity to educate Mary in detail. You're on the budget committee, so it comes to me.
And the president is not on any of those
Oh,
committees.
that's right. Well, you can, okay, forget about Tony.
So-
I'm kidding. Mary
Right.
and Tony. That's right, the last time you joined one, because I wasn't in it.
Somebody wasn't able to make it. That's what I do. If somebody can't make it.
Tim.
I get to hear it twice, which is probably the best.
Yeah.
'cause I did.
All right. Are we good?
I think
All
we're
right.
good.
Mike,
Thank
this
you,
is
Mike.
great. Thanks.
You
Thanks,
did
Mike.
great
Thank you,
work.
guys.
I hate coming in here. Every time you come in, you get.
Yeah,
something else to do.
More work.
Uh-huh.
All right. Let's move along. Discussion items. So we do have continued support from the community
Oh,
about for the after prom. We have received donations from Tecumseh Brewing Company, $100. Jennifer Yape, is it Yape? Yape, $100. Robert Love, $100, and Kirchhoff Automotive, $500. We will, at the action items, move to accept or not accept. But I guess, are there any questions about that right now?
Are they really need to be now?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Do
that
we
would-
know?
That would put them over the top.
Oh,
for
okay,
their- for their
good.
projected goals. So now
Awesome.
we're into either saving some for next year
Oh,
or
good.
doing more than they would expect.
Only one of us won anything in the lottery. but,
Yeah.
But he donated
I
it
don't
back.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I knew when I heard your voice that you did.
Probably had to buy a lot of tickets to get that too.
I did.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions about those? I mean, Rick,
No, we'll recommend swift acceptance of those gifts.
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, good. Okay. Next on the agenda is the true strategic plan. Now we've all had time to review that. Are there any discussion or comments on that?
Again, what the board would be approving tonight would be the mission, the vision, the belief statements, and the strategic focus areas, with details and action plans to be done by the administration and reported on quarterly.
Right. So basically, everything on, it's kind of summarized on this one-page flyer we got last time. Was included in our packet last time, and this time, I think, now that I think about it. But this is that mission, vision, belief statements, and the goals. Any questions, comments?
Good.
All right. Speak now or get ready to vote. All right. With that,
Is
we'll
that
move
motion
to,
okay now? Doesn't say just those
I
four
don't know, I
things.
didn't
It just
read it.
says the plan that presented by MASB.
Well, we've had a.
we'll let Becky look at that. You were talking about the motion.
Yeah, it's really only the one page.
That is weird.
What?
At the last meeting?
All right, action items. First is the after prom.
I hereby move to accept with thanks the $800 in donations from the Tecumseh Brewing Company, Jennifer Yape, Robert Love, and Kirchhoff Automotive for the after prom party.
Second.
So move to second to accept the donations. Roll call vote. Trustee Tomlin,
Aye.
trustee Simpson,
Aye.
trustee Moore,
Aye.
trustee Lewis,
Aye.
trustee Davis,
Aye.
trustee Brooks.
Aye.
Chair votes aye with many thanks. The community support
Like something.
continues to be outstanding, and we really are thankful for that.
And I mean, that holds with the next one of our belief systems. I hereby move to approve the strategic plan as presented by the MASB presenter at our last meeting.
Second?
We moved to second to accept the strategic plan that was presented and presented by MASB and developed by us and the community. Roll call vote. Trustee Moore,
Aye.
trustee Lewis,
Aye.
trustee Davis,
Aye.
trustee Brooks,
Aye.
trustee Tomlin,
Aye.
trustee Simpson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Outstanding. That is outstanding, people.
Moving ahead.
Great job. All right, next on to the district business consent agenda.
I hereby move to approve the consent agenda, which includes the following items. Minutes from the regular board meeting of March 28th, 2020.
Support.
Been moved and seconded to support the consent agenda. Roll call vote. Trustee Davis.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Moore.
Aye.
Trustee Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Tomlin.
Aye.
Trustee Brooks.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Consent agenda is approved. Next, superintendent report.
My
Mr.
my
Hilderly.
esteemed assistant just said, keep it short. And I say that because we talked tonight about with the content of the agenda, we might be able to bring it home under an hour tonight. So
We're rolling.
she's trying to inspire me. So a couple of things. You have a printed version of the scheduled reports calendar. We spoke at the last meeting about identifying when certain directors would be reporting. And then it really started, I think, as a conversation about the quarterly strategic plan report and where that would come up on the calendar. At the first meeting in July, we will establish the rest of the meetings for the calendar year. So you'll get another version of this that fills in from July to December. So these are the remaining meetings for April through the end of June with the identified reports listed. And anything else that may come up, but you can count on those. Are there any questions about that particular list?
No, but thank you.
You're welcome. Makes good sense. And then bond update. Of course, last week was the spring vacation, so not a lot happened in terms of the bond. I did tonight, previous to this meeting, give a presentation to the Racine Township Board and was well received. I think that there's support from the members of that board, and there were about 8 members in the gallery who enjoyed the presentation, asked some good questions, but overall seemed to support what it is that we're trying to do. And I think that the thing that I want to reiterate, and there's lots of information out there, I think that people have been able to onboard the information and understand what the projects are, what the costs are. But one thing that's not in the materials is the idea that regardless of what happens with the vote on May 3rd, there are still many things that have to be taken care of in terms of our infrastructure. And I'll be putting this out to the community so that they understand that over the next 10 years, we're going to spend $10 to $15 million on things like roofs, boilers, air handlers, the turf at the football field, the boiler at the pool, all these things, the parking lots that have to be either resealed or redone, they're going to happen in the next 10 years. And the community can either pay for it with taxes that are already being paid, no increase to the 7.2 mils that are currently being assessed, or the district can pay for it out of general fund money, which costs programming, it costs salaries, it costs all the things that we want to deliver in terms of instruction. We talked about curriculum materials tonight. All of that comes out of our general fund. And if we have to reallocate that $10 to $15 million out of our general fund over the next 10 years, it's eventually students who have to pay. So that's an important thing that I think everybody needs to understand, is that it's not a list of want to stuff necessarily. It's stuff that needs to get done and needs to be addressed. And as I say at all of my presentations, great schools equal great communities. You don't go anywhere in Michigan, and probably any other state in the United States, if a community says that it's great, if they profess to be a wonderful place to live, they also have great schools. There can be no disconnect. And communities that support things like bond issues and continue to move forward with supporting the things that need to be done, those are the communities that really get to be great communities. And I think Tecumseh is one of those. So I've got about 4 or 5 more community meetings, either in person or virtual, over the next 3 weeks. And we'll continue to try to get that message out there. The advocacy group is also out there doing things that are going to be important to our end result. We don't have a representative here tonight, but I know that they'll be working on our behalf as well. So that's it for
Thank
my
you.
report.
And thanks for all your hard work you're doing. You're out and about. Appreciate that.
Flyers, mailing home, those are
Yep.
very good.
All right, items for next agenda. I know that we will, the curriculum committee's meeting, and they're hoping to present something to us. I expect that that'll be a discussion item for next meeting. I'm sure there'll be good news, and that's really all I have, but planned so far, but I'm sure we'll have more. It's now time for closing. Public comment. In accordance with the Open Meeting Act, we allow public comment up to 3 minutes. Anyone? Please step forward or stand up. It's fine.
Whatever works for you.
Lee Andre, I have a question for the presentation for the village. Is it part of the presentation a change in operating costs for the additional school be easier to operate from electricity and heat standpoint than the buildings that are being used? Are you able to present that information?
I don't have that information. I think it's a general assumption that there would be efficiencies. Certainly, having one campus of 135,000 square feet, replacing 4 campuses of around 150,000 square feet, you would assume that there would be some efficiencies in terms of energy.
So with new building techniques, that number should also move in.
Correct.
It's
Yeah, and I
expected.
think 2 bus routes.
Good. All right. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, I think the bus routes is
Yeah,
another.
saved us on a couple bus
We
routes
got
too.
A couple of bus routes.
I've mentioned that before, Tim, so thank you for reiterating it.
Maybe
Yes?
solar could be on.
Tom Housekeeper, 704 West Chicago Boulevard. First of all, I'd like to thank Rick, your administrative assistant, who provided me with lots of information and listening this afternoon. I do appreciate it. Also, the chief of police was very forthcoming with ideas on other concerns. My comments tonight will really just be a series of questions, which I hope I can get written answers to. I'm trying to get to yes on the phone, and I've always opened for phone. The questions I have include this. What was the blended 2002 student count at the approximate time the high school was built, 22 years ago, I guess? What percentage of the Tecumseh School District students chose a school district other than Tecumseh schools then and now? What return on our investment did we get for the $60 million we've already spent in terms of taking students away from Clinton rather than getting them to Clinton, to set an example? 3. Before I came, I Googled how well our school system is doing now after this $60 million investment. The rating I got from one website is certainly subject to evaluation. Chelsea, number 24. Beck, number 31. The similar student body. Clinton, 115. Dundee, 162. Tecumseh, 179. Are we better or worse than we were after we spent our $60 million? How will further investments in facilities such as acres replacement bringing the total investment to 7.2 mils over approximately 50 years fix our competitive problem? What else can we do besides spending money on a new grade school to fix our competitive problem? Why do we need more facilities when we have fewer students? Again, I don't necessarily expect him to answer that now, but I would appreciate a commitment on the part of the board to get me an answer that we can respond to the community with, what's the way that Lee is suggesting.
Thank you. Do we
We
need
have
him to
something for you.
officially
Copy
send
of
us?
those?
Well, we'll do.
I think I've
Before
got
that.
him
You
written
got
down.
him?
I'll talk
Okay.
to him after.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment? Yes.
My name's Paul Ward, I'm relatively new to council, so thank you for following me, not knowing what's going on. So the questions and the comments were made earlier. Has there been a pro forma analysis conducted and published that would project the next 20 years worth of maintenance, improvements, and so on costs of the existing infrastructure and compared to what the cost of a 30-year investment on the new program has been done? Has that been produced and is it available to the public? I'd like to see the financials on it.
That was part of what we did for the Futures Committee. We should have that information.
Yeah, I don't have it here to provide tonight, but we'll provide that for you.
Good point.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, board members, comment, discussions.
So, I don't know if we've made this decision yet, and this might be more for Mr. Niles back there. Have we decided if we're doing graduation indoor or outdoor yet?
Yes.
He says, yes, I've decided.
Inside,
It is gonna be inside,
yes.
okay.
Yeah,
Are
we
we-
made that announcement in the weekly video, April 1st, and it was not June.
Oh, all right, well, I was gonna miss that one.
Inside on June
Fifth.
5th.
And, okay, so do I need to go watch the video or are you gonna share more?
It's inside, June 5th.
Are we limiting the number of guests again? What's?
We're still working out the details.
Okay, perfect. I'm getting asked, so trying to find out. And then also the last 2 years with COVID, they did the seniors did the driving through town. Is that being done again?
We're not in charge of that. That was always done by parents.
Okay,
I saw
Yeah,
something about it
Yeah,
where
I
they
mean,
were
the
working on the
first
route.
couple of years that we did it, they launched from the middle school and they
Right.
ended at the high school campus. Both years we gave permission for those places to be used, but the school didn't really organize it. We didn't pull the parade from it. There were parent groups who did that,
Okay.
and we would like to keep it that way.
Somewhere I saw on some kind of social media site that
That
they were going
somebody's
to
doing
do something about it, and it was going to go maybe possibly through downtown, like a typical parade, which would mean pulling up permits and such. Right.
cool.
Well, the city manager's son is a senior.
Well,
It's-
yes.
yeah. And, it's not that far away, folks. We need to get this information out there. People are asking.
The mother of
All
a
right.
senior speaking.
Anybody else? Comment?
Just Godspeed to our administrators and teachers on this downhill slope to the summer vacation. And, the
I'm sure
time
today
after
was
spring
rough.
break is challenging at times. I'm sure
Right.
today was especially exciting, but you're in our thoughts as you push through. So
Anybody else? All right,
Welcome our new HR person.
we do have a new HR person. She will be attending the next meeting
Yeah,
for
well,
a formal
Looking
introduction.
forward to meeting her.
Formally introduce her at the next meeting.
I was wondering who this gentleman is. I looked over, there's no JP today, so.
Oh, right.
I was
No.
trying to look for a screen.
All right, listen, the other thing I have is, as always, thanks for all the hard work the board's doing. And Mr. Hilderly, I mean, all the time you're putting on this bond is truly appreciated. So, anybody else?
All your lovely messages.
All right. With that, if there's nothing else, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Move to second to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
That was very
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Wow.
Thank you.
Very fast.